Will squats destroy your knees? If you're wondering this, or if you're already convinced it's true, think about this for a second. Since the mid-1900s, rates of knee arthritis in the United States have doubled, and not because everyone started squatting more. That didn't happen. The opposite happened. The average person has become more sedentary. And when it comes to risk factors for developing arthritis in your knees, it's not simple at all. Genetics, lifestyle, nutrition, previous knee injuries, chronic inflammation, and just plain old aging all impact your risk. But there's a tendency to look at our joints as purely mechanical components of our bodies, like parts on a car that just get worn out with use. But your knees are not like parts on a car. They're part of a larger, living biological system that responds and adapts to the stresses placed upon it. And just like the whole biological system, the mechanisms involved in maintaining the health and function of your joints require that you use them. In a living system, you best maintain a function by performing that function. So the knee is literally there to bend. So if you want to maintain or build this capacity, you're going to have to bend it, because it turns out you cannot preserve the health of a joint by limiting its use, and you cannot preserve the function of a joint by limiting its function. Physiology just does not work that way. And when it comes to the squat, the movement, this is a movement that is as much an expression of our species' movement heritage as is walking. There's nothing artificial or unnatural about it. It's one of the first things we ever do on 2 feet. It predates the invention of the toilet, if you know what I mean. And it's a resting position that our ancestors probably spent several hours a day in. It was a movement that was not only unavoidable, but necessary for almost all of our species' existence, and still is in many parts of the world. It's only relatively recently that we've managed to shape our world in a way that allows us to live in it with minimal squatting. So when we look at modern and historical arthritis rates, the lifestyle changes that have occurred over time, and considering what we know about physiology and human movement, I don't see spending 5 or 10 minutes a day moving up and down in a squat, moving your knees through their anatomical range of motion, as something uniquely risky for a healthy person at all. I think it's much riskier not to squat, because moving a joint is the best thing you can do to preserve its function. Now, just like with any other training, you need to train within your capacity, which is going to be different for everyone, and slowly try to increase your capability over time. If you try to push range of motion or volume or intensity too quickly, you absolutely can overdo it and get injured. And the upper end of what you're able to benefit from and recover from is going to vary from person to person. So just because a movement is not inherently dangerous for our species doesn't mean you can just ignore your current level of preparedness, your injury history, or even some structural variation you might have that limits your current capability. All of these things need to be considered when you think about squats and your long-term knee health. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.